Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry. Yeah. So, this is the story. This carpet, it's got to be at least 20 years old, maybe even older than that, actually. Yeah, well, a little around 20 or so years old, I would guess. This house has been a rental for quite a few years. I was here 7 years ago, and it was in really bad shape then. I was able to bring it back to life, and the guy that owns the place, who actually used to be a carpet cleaner, was very impressed with the results. And then new people moved in. They've been here for the last 7 years. The carpet has not been cleaned for the last 7 years, and it's been very abused. Now there was a fish tank sitting over here on a wooden stand or whatever. So this is either, it looks like wood stain actually, and if that's what it is, maybe maybe it was a black painted or whatever, and you got water on there and it bled into the carpet. But if that's what it is, it's obviously permanent. Now I don't know if you can see this. I'll move this over here, get a better view. But this carpet is really deteriorated. There's just hundreds and hundreds of sprouts here. So there was a dog in the house with claws that were pulling out the yarn, and it's just massacred. The steps are in terrible shape too. Everything is really very dirty, actually. A lot of soil buildup in the carpet. Damage at the doorways. Somebody trying to get in or out or whatever. Oh, I forgot to take this up. Lots of spots and stains, just all over the place, There was a big stain here, it looked like a urine stain, which I did pre-treat with suspend with a CO2 in it, and it's almost entirely faded away. Nice. This room's not too bad. And again, damage right here. This room's not too bad either, just quite a wear path. So, basically the carpet's a stain, the whole carpet. And that's how I approach a job like this. When I see, when you start losing count of the number of spots and stains that you have to deal with, I just treat it as if it's a stain, the whole carpet. So, now you'd think I'm going to pull out the nuclear weapons to deal with this. I know that's what a lot of people would do, but that's not usually the way I go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, this is Procyon Extreme, which I believe is, I think it's around 10.5 on the pH scale. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think that's what it is. I was going to look it up before I did the video, and then I forgot. Squirrel. Anyway, so I'm going to spray the Procyon, and this is not my main cleaner. I use Procyon like this as a pre-spray. When I say pre-spray, I know that term is used when guys only spray and then clean with a rotary or OP with no tank on it and don't feed down, and they call it pre-spraying. But technically, pre-spraying is when you apply a product that is separate from your actual cleaner and would be your pre-treatment, your surfactant, which lowers the surface tension, so that when you actually do the cleaning product that you're actually cleaning with works faster and more effectively. Now there's a orangey brownish stain there, which could be interesting to see if that comes out with the Procyon. Procyon actually does work pretty darn well. You can see that's a really dirty area. But I just find it, I did experiment with it for a while, and I found that it just didn't have enough punch, is the way I put it. I was finding I was constantly boosting it. And I thought, well, why am I boosting it all the time? For almost everything. Anyway, let's continue on here. It does definitely require a dwell time, as some products don't seem to need that so much, but I found the Procyon did. It's odorless, green seal certified, hypoallergenic, and it's a good product and it has its place. I just don't think I don't like it as a main cleaner, but I know some guys do. And there's cases where you would use it, especially if you've got a situation, for example, where somebody is really sensitive to odors or chemicals. Procyon makes a few different products. This is their more aggressive one, but their normal one is something that would give you an option to choose from if you want to make sure you're using something that people are not going to, or are much less likely to react to. So just bear that in mind. And a lot of guys would, in order to clean this, they'd be, maybe taking their cleaner and boosting it with ammonia and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm not going to do that because I think that's a very bad idea, because I don't want to be breathing it, because it is a toxin. There's situations where I will use ammonia, but I would never put it into my pre-spray. I wouldn't be spraying it around and exposing myself or the customer to that. I think that's just very unwise. But that's only my opinion. What do I know? So we'll see. Will what I'm doing work? Is this going to be good enough? Will it have enough punch to cut through these stains and the soiled areas on this very deteriorated carpet? Very, very worn. It's actually getting a little bit thin on some areas too. It really, and the owner says, yeah, I know it should be replaced, but in today's market, he can rent this house out probably $3,000 a month, something stupid like that, with an absolutely trashed carpet. People will still take it because they don't have a choice. And mind you, he could end up with people in here that would just destroy the carpet even more. So I mean, it's kind of a dilemma, And I've heard there's horror stories about people that rent their houses out, and the way that things are just absolutely destroyed by the renters, and there's nothing much you can do about it. So I understand why he'd be reluctant to want to replace this carpet, because the next person could be worse than the one he just had. Which I guess for 7 years isn't all that bad, but you go to rent the place and you spend thousands of dollars to replace the carpet, and a year later you could be looking at a carpet that is absolutely destroyed that you have to replace again. So you just can't do that. That's not going to work, is it? No, I did spray in there with the suspend. Okay, I think we're pretty much ready to roll here. There's just a lot of, that's not a good looking carpet. But the owner is very aware that this carpet is only going to be improved. It certainly isn't going to look great. There's just no way. It's just, in such terrible, terrible condition. So he understands that, and he's, as I say, used to clean carpets himself, so he knows what can be done. And he's already seen what I've done in the past on this very same carpet. So, and he said to me, yeah, you did a really good job last time. And that's why we're back. So, let's see what happens. Now, as you can see, I've opted to use the Hogshair fiber pad. I haven't been using it much for a little while, but the reason I chose it is because, in my experience, when you've got a lot of stains, the Hogshair will work faster and more effectively at dealing with the stains. The AstroTurf pads work very well, but there's a point where the Hogshair is going to have an even better, more effective performance. So that's why I'm choosing it here. And then my plan is to go to multiple, probably, Ironman pads. Now I'm cleaning with, I do have my Von Schroeder product in here, but I increased it. Normally I'm running at about 2 ounces per gallon. I added another ounce, so it's at 3 ounces per gallon. I also put an ounce of Odoban deodorizer sanitizer in here because the carpet is in such deteriorated condition. I'm certain there's going to be an issue with odors, and although I do have ClO2 in here, I've started to add the Odoban so that I actually leave a bit of an odor behind. I think that's not a bad idea in these cases. So, and I'm not concerned in this case about using something with an odor, because most of the time I prefer not to use odors. A lot of people don't want odors, but this isn't going to matter in this case anyway. And I just put enough in there that you can smell it, but not really strong. So anyway, let's see what happens. Okay. I don't know if you can see what I'm seeing, but that's working. And, you know, as I mentioned, a lot of guys would choose to go with the nuclear option, but I've learned that you really don't need to do that, actually. Look at that. See that nasty stain that was there? Out it comes, just like that. That's how fast it works. I can smell the Odoban. Not really strong though. Oh man, that is working. See the stains up here? All kinds of spots and stains. Can you see that? I've only pre-treated the most obvious ones. I haven't pre-treated anything else. You saw me what I did with the Procyon there, and there were just a couple that I like, just a few that I put the suspend on. Look at that, eh? You see, the key isn't overkill. The key is finesse. The key is understanding what exactly it is you're doing, and you know, you don't need to use the incredibly aggressive cleaners, Remember, one thing you've got when you're, particularly when you're using the rotary, which again I'll say is a better choice than anything else, but the key is the fact, the secret is the agitation. That's the key. Oh, they've got a real color there. That's kind of a weird looking stain, that one is. We'll leave that to sit for a few minutes and then we'll come back to that. But you can see that that really dark area there has already improved dramatically. Big stain right here. I'm glad that it's not too hot today. It's overcast because there's no air on in here. It's pretty muggy in here, but the temperature's not too bad. It's a little bit warm, but I'm glad it's not a 35 or more degree day, because that would be really hot in here otherwise, which actually is going to be a bit of a problem, you know, in a situation like that, because I do want the carpet to be basically wet for a minimum of 20 minutes. So, and I've had carpets where I've cleaned them and they just dry too fast. I have to, you know, add more solution because it's just drying too fast. Another colored stain right there. Wow. Definitely impressive. So, I'm not gonna, how do I say this now? I'm gonna try and go over the entire carpet with the Hog's Hair fabric pad first, and then we'll come back and go over it again, any areas that I think need it, because I want to get to the Procyon before it dries out, for one. And yeah. look at that. Okay, this area is really bad. That's incredible, actually, and that's just the first pass. Actually, I'm beginning to feel that heat now. Remember back when I was steam cleaning, which was very long ago, like, I guess almost 40 years ago now. Man, I remember I used to sweat. Sweat used to run down my face, into my eyes, dripping off my nose and off my chin. Wow. Oh, the good old days. Repeated it. Yeah, this is really working well. With my initial pass here, most of these stains are coming out almost instantly. I'm not sure how well you're able to see that in the camera, but that's what's happening. Got some nasty stains over here. Some color stains over there, which I did put some suspend on. They weren't really obvious, but they were definitely there. Right along, kind of right in there. And that looks like it's taking them out. Nice. Again, more color stains right here. Wow. Okay. See, virtually all these stains are coming out. Now this is just really my initial pass. I want to go over it all again just to make sure. Again, there was a big stain right here, which faded out after treating it with the suspend. Looked like an animal stain, maybe. This room is not too bad, although there is a stain up against the wall over there, which I did pre-treat. Actually, a series of stains, and it looked like they mostly have faded out already. I can barely see them now, which I pre-treated with the suspend. Yeah, right here. They were much more obvious before. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. The Von Schroeder product that I'm cleaning with, which is actually the blue label, which is a neutral pH. Haha. Did I say that before? I can't remember. You know, I know a lot of guys, whenever they run into a situation like that, they're gonna, you know, the first thing to think of, I gotta increase pH. And my answer to that is, well, obviously, no, you don't. Depends on the characteristics and the performance of the cleaning product that you're using, and the equipment you're using, and how you're using it. Because you can see these stains are coming out no problem at all, and I have not, other than the occasional stain, I haven't pre-treated anything else other than the Procyon you saw me spray on the carpet, which wasn't even sprayed on all that heavy. Because you don't need to soak the carpet. Yep, that stain, it's gone. Wow. Oh, I wanted to go behind this door because I think I needed something there, maybe. Have a look in here. Yeah, there's not really much there. We'll just run the Iron Man in there. You know, I was just thinking, this is where the performance of the rotary really shines, because you can see what's happening, that the action of the rotary as it's moving the pad on the carpet it's almost like it's shearing the soil off the carpet fiber. And what it does, by the way, opposed to an OP machine, which shakes the yarn back and forth, they talk about, yeah, it comes from every, you know, both directions or whatever. Well, so does the rotary in virtually all the area of the carpet, at least where it matters. But what happens is the rotary is laying the carpet fiber over, and it's moving, in this case, the fiber pad from as deep down as it reaches, which is pretty far depending on the carpet fiber, and up to the surface. So it's actually moving the dirt up the yarn. That's what's happening. Some people say it just pushes the dirt down. They just don't understand what's happening, I guess, because it certainly isn't doing that. I'm gonna pull the slack here. Ooh, am I gonna make it? Maybe not. Oh yeah, I think so. I really think that with the introduction of the OP machines into the market and the way that they were presented, which was very clever, it really has left a real misunderstanding of exactly how the rotary machine works on the carpet, and has left people with a lot of ignorance, misunderstanding about how these things work, how these machines work, because they do work perfectly for this purpose. But anyway, that's the way it is. I have remained an advocate of the rotary all along, and I do have OP machines, and they have their place, but mine are parked in the garage because, quite frankly, I just don't like even using them anymore. And I tell you, once I really understood the advantages of the 2-speed, which is it's just game over. Again, there's a color stain right here. And there you go. Another one right here. I do think the Procyon is actually really good at removing coffee stains on that. Seems to really work well for that, actually. Wow, we're just doing fantastic. We're at 33 minutes, huh? Okay, so we're going to go back to the beginning. Oh, wait a minute. Almost forgot the closet. There was a color stain there, which I just took out. Looked like a pea or something like that. Oh, and I think I wanted to get behind this door too. All right. Okay. We're going to go high speed now. It's plenty wet enough. That's the only concern I might have. When using the fiber pad, I normally run at 200 RPM. But this is giving me 5 cleaning passes per second on the carpet now. 360 degrees. Wow. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video in a minute, and I'm going to run over the living room area and maybe a couple of other areas with the fiber pad for a second pass, just to make sure I've got everything that I want, and then we'll do I won't do a video of that second pass. I'll get another video of the using the Iron Man after. So, okay. So anyway, I'll let you go for now. And thank you for watching, and have a good day.